Hi, it's Jerry from Hawkeye's Hobbies. Some questions have been asked about using a Touch N Flow, and here we have one, and it's already loaded with some solvent. How do you use this? Well, the Touch N Flow works as long as it's held horizontally. Nothing happens. As you tip, and you watch, you'll see it drip. Okay, drip. Now, I use a very strong solvent, so it evaporates rather quickly, but basically think of the Touch N Flow as a pencil, and what you're going to do is, you can see there's a line here on this, is you're going to take the Touch N Flow and draw as you would with a pencil down the seam line. Now what happens is the capillary action pulls that along. Now you see I kind of went off the side. Don't get excited about any extra residue that you drip. Let it evaporate. But once you've painted that seam, then you give it a little bit of a squeeze. I don't know if you can see that. It's beginning to bubble and ooze. That's what you want it to do. Because what that's doing is it's not only welding, and that's just what it's doing, chemically welding the two pieces of plastic together, but it's also being a self-filler. So that once this is cured then and dry, then you can just polish it off with a polishing stick and you'll have a nice clean seam. Now let's do this again. We'll go to the other side. Here we have a seam. I didn't do anything to dress this up. This is just a rocket pod. I'm going to take my Touch N Flow, and you can, again, you control the rate of application by how fast you, or how much angle you put on it. But I'm going to just draw a line down that seam, letting the solvent flow. Okay, then I'm going to set it back on its holder over here, and then give it a squeeze. You just make sure if you do have any extra, you do not touch it. Just let it dry, and it'll just clean up with a polishing stick. And now the other thing about a Touch N Flow is, if you're working inside of something, the Touch N Flow allows you to do the very same thing on the inside by reaching in and painting along that seam. So you can, in essence, weld from both sides. It's just a matter of drawing along the inside of that seam. It's great for working around fuselages, or the inside of fuselages, and putting pieces in. And by painting on the inside of these walls here, I'm actually making it stronger. And again, I'll give it a little bit of a squeeze. But what you really need to see here, and I hope this is coming through on the camera, but you can see that jagged edge across here, and what that is that's plastic that's melted and formed a welding bead. So once this is all dry, then I'll be able, like I said, and it's almost dry to the touch now, is I can go over that with a sanding or polishing stick. If it's extra heavy and you know you're going to have to take this down a little bit, you can do is just take the back side of your number 11 blade, and you see how that's just picking out? That excess is coming off. Now this should have cured a lot longer than I do it in this demo video, at least an hour, but you get the idea that you have a nice, clean, solid welded seam that's going to last forever. It's not going to be affected by temperature extremes or any twisting action. It's going to be solid. So there you have it. How I use the Touch N Flow, and how to use it to draw and apply solvent down the seam of a model.